Hi Internet, it's Sarah. As you can see over this shoulder, I successfully went to Costco. This is wipes, like Clorox wipes, but Kirkland's signature wipes instead for my yoga mat, so I can clean it up the way that they taught us at the VA. And that's Kleenex, which I was down to this much. Now I'm not. Anyway, I got home and I had this big box in the mail, and I saw the label where it's from. It's from North Carolina, interestingly. But the people that I ordered it from, it's a publishing on demand company called Lulu.com, and a friend that I met through the Third Eye Blind fan groups that I've been part of on Facebook, put together this project idea where she said, I want to make like an end of tour present for the boys, for the band, for Third Eye Blind. And I think it would be great if we all just compiled, like we each write a letter like to them of like our experience of their music, or first time we saw them in concert, like some kind of show that, or some kind of story that says like, this is why your music connects with me, and that she would then compile them all into a print-on-demand title, which she did, and I put off buying it and put off buying it and put off buying it because money has been so tight, and then I thought, you know, these people have all done so much for me, and all I've done for this is send in my own letter, you know. And so I did hear tell that at some point at one of the shows, one of our fandom people, possibly the woman who put this together herself, actually managed to get copies to the band. So it's called Rites of Passage with a W. And it says all these things are yours on the back. And for Third Eye Blind from the fans, summer 2015, it's got her name on it too. I don't know if she wants her name shared, so I'm not going to share it. But it's just little notes from everybody. Some of them are typed out, some of them are, you know, here's part of my tattoo. I like seeing like ones like this. This one's handwritten. Somebody handwrote one and sent it in, and it got scanned in. So what I want to do is take a moment, if you'll forgive me while I do this, and find the note that I sent them. And I don't remember entirely what I said. I'm almost positive I've mentioned hashtag girlfriend in there. So I might start crying. But obviously my experience with Third Eye Blind is like predates my having met her. So let's see. Here's what it is. This is my letter to Third Eye Blind from Rites of Passage, Letters from Exile. Today, driving home on 1 hour of sleep from a stupidly busy weekend of LGBT and pride-related events and activities, I was listening to Dopamine softly while I floated up I-5 northbound. Reality slowed, taking on a languorous, cinematic pace. The road noise faded out and Blade faded up, even though I didn't touch the volume. I smiled. Third Eye Blind has driven the soundtrack of my life for nearly 20 years. I remember driving in LA years ago when Semi-Charmed Life was all the rage on KROQ, K-Rock, in my beat-up old 1987 Honda Prelude. It had a sunroof, and my greatest pleasure was racing down the 101, every window wide open, blasting 3EB all the way. I had very bad depression back then. I had very bad depression for most of my life, really. The depression stayed with me until I finally figured out who I was last August. so this was in 2015. I'm talking about August 2014. Once I'd gotten the debut album, the background became my favorite song on the first listen. It would be more than a year before I could hear "The Plans I Make Still Have You in Them" without tearing up. Sometimes this still happens. This makes covering it a bitch unless I've been really rehearsing the shit out of it. I used to run my laundry at Buzz's Coin Laundry in LA. I still have one of their yellow t-shirts, which says Vendo Jabon and I sell soap on the back, above and below a smiley face evocative of a front-load washer's door. I used to listen to An Ode to Maybe on a loop when I was running the wash. That was probably about as close to happy as I could get at the time. The song felt like pure joy to me, and even though I couldn't quite feel it, I wanted to steep in it as long as I could, just to see if I'd finally feel anything but awful. Before I realized I was a girl, I was mostly led around by my libido. I fell in love with girls on the internet, sight unseen, in IRC rooms. Repeatedly. One of them was talking about a sexual assault she had suffered, cursing men in general. Believing I was one, I got defensive and somewhat callously quoted "wounded" to her. I had meant to draw her attention back out of that moment in her head, back to me again, to the possibility of an us. It backfired, of course, causing a rift between us for 5 years, during which we did not speak. When we finally reconnected, she told me that she had mostly been upset that I'd had the audacity to tell her that the guy who put his hands on you has got nothing to do with me. She begrudgingly admitted she had really liked the song, and that had kind of made her even madder at me. We spent 6 years together, doomed from the start, because I had not yet figured out who I was. I was miserably depressed, and there seemed to be no cure. On the night we first met in person, she asked if I knew how to play Wounded. I didn't. It was the last request in the world I would have ever expected from her. But I never figured out how to hack my way through a cover song so fast in my life, and I managed to squeak out a version before the night was through. Out of the Vein set the stage for my term in the military. From the pulsing rush of Faster and Blinded to the bold pounding of My Hit and Run to the slower 3-song set of Misfits, Can't Get Away, and especially Wake for Young Souls, I had the perfect selection of songs to take me away from every awful thing I got out of being in the Army. Another life took on new meaning for me years later when I realized I had been a girl my whole life. Ursa Major dropped during an exceptionally unstable time in my life when I was dealing with divorce and a nasty custody fight while reconnecting with my earlier love, the Wounded Girl. I remember not really connecting with the album at the time, but listening to it again now, in the wake of Dopamine's release, I can't understand why. It strikes me as Third Eye Blind's Pinkerton, a grossly underrated work that is full of verve and elan just waiting to be heard. Now the album kicks my ass right from the start, and it's really not very safe for me to be driving when Can You Take Me comes on, because I can't help but throw myself around in the driver's seat. In April 2015, about 8 months after I first realized I was a girl, I went to see a local musician friend, a Cornish alum guitarist, play a set of the entire first Third Eye Blind album, altered tunings and all. I had originally declined his offer to attend, telling him that I wasn't going to be able to keep myself off the stage. He said that if I joined them, it would be awesome, so I went. Even though I'd not rehearsed with any of the players, I ended up being on stage and harmonizing through every single song. Afterwards, all of the musicians came up to me with glowing smiles, asking where in the hell I'd even come from, because they had loved having me up there so much. It was the first time in my life that I'd felt completely accepted for who I was in a group of total strangers. It was the first time since I'd been sexually assaulted. Back in December. That I felt 100% safe around a bunch of guys I'd never met before. And it was the first time since I'd realized I was a girl that I began to consider not pursuing voice feminization surgery because people were absolutely in love with my singing. Your music gave me that, all of that. A Tumblr post of mine showing that I'd gotten a new Twitter follower that was themselves followed by Steven had me asking if this meant I was effectively 1 degree of separation from the guiding force of one of the defining bands of my life story. That post got spotted and earned me an invite to the Third Eye Blind Misfits group on Facebook. Not long after that, Dopamine was with us. The Third Eye Blind Misfits community was very warm and familial. Almost immediately after joining, someone sent me a 3EB bumper sticker, which is about to find its way onto my guitar case finally. That part definitely never happened. I still have the sticker. I don't know where it is. I'm gonna go find it while this is encoding and uploading and see if I can put it on my guitar. I'm really embarrassed. I spent this last June weekend driving from one LGBT event to another all over Seattle with my new girlfriend. The first romance I've had as myself, as the girl I've always really been. When we got into the car together to head to the first day's event, Trans Pride, I announced that the driving music all weekend was going to be Dopamine, and got a smile and "that's fine with me" out of her. I was asking her something when Everything is Easy spun up, and she shushed me with a, "This is awesome." And we drove around, idiot grins on our faces, windows down, quintessential summer rock blasting. Thank you so much, Sera and Elliot. And we included these pictures from my Instagram of the shirt that I was talking about. So this whole book, I have not had an opportunity to see much of what's in here, but I know just about everyone who's written something, and I'm really looking forward to just curling up with this and, reading 1 or 2 a day or something, just not just sharing my story, but like holding space for others to share theirs and really giving them the attention that they deserve. So I hope that you've enjoyed this, and that's it, I guess. I'll see you eventually. Be safe.